So sometimes really the best protection is to be the one that's moving the fastest.
With recent disruptions to global supply chains, what is the opportunity for entrepreneurs driving ventures involving industrial IoT and automation technology? Watch this episode of Tomorrow's Tech. Hi there, I'm Sam, and today we welcome on the show Dale Rankine. Dale is the co-founder and CEO of Reekoh, an IoT automation platform. Passionate about the convergence of physical and digital data, he is also the Deputy Chair for IoT Alliance Australia. Welcome on the show, Dale.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
Let's have a look at what Reekoh is all about.
The Internet of Things opens up boundless possibilities across many sectors, helping you operate in ways previously unimagined. Yet the IoT ecosystem is fragmented, rapidly evolving, and lacks standards. The time and cost involved in managing this ecosystem and the data it generates can make it hard to benefit from this new paradigm. That's where Reekoh comes in. We deal with the choices and rapid changes in the IoT ecosystem so you don't have to. Purpose-built for the Internet of Things, Reekoh is an integration fabric that brings together all your IoT devices, networks, data, and enterprise systems.
In a post-COVID economy, how can we help drive the adoption of industrial IoT and Industry 4.0 in Australia?
Well, industrial IoT and digital transformation is incredibly important to the local market here. Globally, we've seen a shift in priorities towards these types of technologies and solutions, moving from what has been seen as a nice-to-have to a must-have for organisations wanting to not just survive, but also scale through a post-COVID economy.
Absolutely.
Now, in Australia, we have a strong mining sector, for example, which has been benefiting greatly from industrial IoT and connected assets. And we're seeing more of these types of solutions repeated in critical infrastructure and utilities organisations as well. But it's the disruption to the global supply chain that really brought a focus to local manufacturing. And I think that's a real opportunity here in Australia to lead the world in connected and advanced manufacturing. Stakeholders can then look overseas already to quite mature solutions that are already been deployed to solve problems that exist here as well, albeit sometimes at a smaller scale. But they can also look at local innovation that's happening, and particularly areas around remote condition monitoring or predictive maintenance. These are examples of innovation that's being developed locally here in Australia and taken to the global market.
It's wonderful to see these innovative companies popping up in Australia. Now, through your venture at Reekoh, how are you driving towards the goal of increased automation efficiency in manufacturing and other industries?
So Reekoh is an integration platform that serves to solve the problems that exist when you start to converge data from physical assets and digital assets. And particularly in the industrial segment where assets have been creating mountains of data for the last 10, 20 years.
Absolutely.
And the ability for customers to be able to manage data from that fragmented ecosystem, as well as IoT, which has been added on later as an easier, lower cost sensing solution. This is a real critical function for organisations starting to move towards a more cloud-centric or IT-centric operation. So Reekoh is really about being intelligent plumbing that brings all of that together and allows physical and digital assets to really be interoperable. And it's from that position that organisations start to achieve those actionable insights that drive business outcomes.
That's excellent. Now, from your experience, how do you suggest other entrepreneurial founders protect their IP?
I think it's a case of sometimes being the first to execute rather than being the first to market. I've seen a lot of people spend a lot of time and money quite early on looking to protect and perfect the idea when they really should be just getting out there, building it, getting into the hands of users, proving out those ideas. So sometimes really the best protection is to be the one that's moving the fastest.
Absolutely. Now, Dale, I'm sure it's been a wild ride for you as an entrepreneur, but for founders starting out, what would you encourage them to ask of themselves truthfully?
I would say, are you willing to give the next 10 years of your life to this thing? Particularly with enterprise and B2B, you can spend the first 5, 6, 7 years just getting the idea and the product right before being even ready to scale. And then when you are scaling, sometimes it feels like you're still starting up. The problems are just sort of bigger and more complex. So I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of time that you'll be starting in that startup phase. And so I guess the takeaway is there's no overnight successes in this business.
It's a great question for them to ask. Thank you for joining us on the show, Dale. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate you coming on Tomorrow's Tech.
Thanks for having me.
And to our audience, if you like this episode, join us weekly across our Tomorrow's Tech LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram, and let us know in the comments below of other Australian innovative companies that are driving industrial IoT. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for joining us and see you next time on Tomorrow's Tech.
Tomorrow's Tech, presented by 3 Dot Digital.